Welcome to another BidCast managed by GDIC. Chasing federal contracts can feel like trying to drink from a fire hose, right? The opportunities seem endless, but so does the noise. So how do the really successful contractors manage to cut through it all? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down a super powerful strategy: disciplined pipeline control. It's about shifting your focus from chasing sheer volume to guaranteeing quality. And trust me, it can completely change the game.
But before we get to the solution, we've got to get real about the problem. Let's talk about the common and often really costly hurdles that can trip up even the best businesses in the federal market. See if any of these sound a little too familiar. And here's the thing. These challenges, they create this vicious cycle. All that noise on SAM.gov, it leads to you missing the good stuff. Then a lack of discipline means your team wastes a ton of money writing proposals for bids they're never going to win. And that, of course, just drains your already limited capacity and budget. The only way to break this cycle is to enforce strict decision discipline before you even think about writing a single word of a proposal.
So how do you actually do that? Well, the entire methodology here is built on one critical distinction: understanding the huge difference between two very separate functions, sourcing and qualification. Getting this right is without a doubt the foundation of a disciplined pipeline.
And this really shows you that separation in action. On one side, you've got sourcing. Think of this as casting the net. It's the daily monitoring, the hunt for potential work. But on the other side, you have qualification. This is the critical analysis part. This is where you ask, is this really a good fit for us? Can we actually compete? Should we even be pursuing this at all? Keeping these two functions separate is absolutely fundamental to managing a smart, efficient, and truly disciplined pipeline.
Okay, so that's the philosophy. But how does it work in the real world? Let's dive into the actual framework for how this service gets delivered, and it's all built around a simple, structured set of monthly plans.
The first thing you'll notice is the consistency. Every single plan is monthly. It comes with a set number of hours and a dedicated manager, which means your costs are always predictable. No surprises. The real difference between the plans isn't what you get, but the intensity. You can think of it like scaling up the depth of the analysis, the speed of the alerts, and just how closely we track every single move an opportunity makes.
So let's break down those differences. We're going to look at 3 distinct service tiers, and each one is really designed to match where a business is on its own growth journey.
This gives you a great at-a-glance view. You can see the hours step up pretty clearly, but the really crucial things to look at are in those next 2 rows. The growth plan is where we introduce formal go-no-go scoring, and the premier plan adds those critical urgent alerts. These are the key differentiators we're about to unpack.
All right, starting with the basic plan. This is the perfect entry point for companies that are either in the early stages or just trying to validate a new market. You get all the essential visibility, daily monitoring, and a weekly curated report, but that final go/no-go decision, that stays as an internal process for you and your team to handle.
Now, the growth plan is where we start to integrate formal discipline right into the process. This is ideal for teams that are actively pursuing work, especially if they're getting ready to prime on contracts. The key addition here is the structured go/no-go scoring. This isn't just a casual suggestion. It's a consistent, data-driven process that leads directly to better, faster decisions, and you guessed it, way fewer wasted pursuits.
And finally, we have the premier plan. This one is all about speed and high-stakes situations. When you have a must-win opportunity on the line, you just can't afford to miss an amendment or a Q&A update. This plan adds urgent alerts and priority tracking to make sure you can respond faster and seriously reduce the risk of ever being caught off guard.
Okay, it's also really important that we're clear on the boundaries of these plans, what they cover, and maybe more importantly, what they don't. So let's quickly look at the scope and the options you have for flexible support.
This is a really critical distinction. Qualification is not proposal development. The two are kept separate on purpose. And why is that? It's all about controlling your costs. By engaging proposal writers only after an opportunity has been completely vetted and has received a firm go decision, you stop spending money and resources on proposals that were basically doomed from the start.
But what happens if you hit your monthly hours, but a really critical opportunity comes up that needs just a little more strategic work? Well, you don't have to upgrade your entire plan. There's flexible support available at a standard hourly rate, which gives you a great safety valve for exactly when you need it. And this is really all about being agile. You can use these optional hours for, say, a deeper dive on a competitor, some extra analysis on a really complex bid, or a longer strategy session with your proposal manager. And you can do it all without having to change your core monthly plan.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? Let's just boil this all down to the single ultimate purpose of this whole discipline model.
And this really gets to the heart of it. It might sound a little counterintuitive, but the goal is actually fewer pursuits. I know, it sounds crazy, right? But by focusing only on the opportunities where you have the absolute best chance of winning, you naturally make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, you get controlled, predictable costs. This service is all about improving the quality of your pipeline, not just the quantity.
Ultimately, this isn't about just winning one more contract. It's about building a truly sustainable federal business by pursuing smarter, not just harder. So you have to ask yourself, is your current pipeline built on discipline, or is it just built on hope? If you're ready to build on discipline, you can find more information about these plans